Click. Controls window.
All right, so this is gonna be fun. So we have 3D Velocity. I have not played the game yet. Let me slow down
Rate 20.
NVDA a little bit.
Rate 10.
Just a weeny bit. Now, I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time on this because it's late where I am right now at the time of this recording. It is around
8:19 p.
8:19, and I normally am in bed by around 10 something, so yeah. And it's a little cold, so at the time of this recording, it's around maybe 50, 60 degrees in the house, and yeah, it's winter, so. All right, so we're going to probably just do the training of 3D Velocity, and we'll see how far I get.
Folder.
So it is on GitHub for those interested.
TeamViewer 13 tdv.exe.
And yeah.
3D Velocity registered by open source.
Now.
Inverted 18,490.
Upright. LTSs charged.
Main menu. Use your arrow keys to navigate the options. Start a new game.
Oh, I can't turn down the...
Load mode selection. Test speak settings.
Map keys. Change input device. Change performance options.
Are you experiencing audio stuttering? Yes. Occasionally, no.
Change performance options. Select screen reader. Map keys. Select screen reader.
Alright, so there's no way to turn the music down?
Main menu. Settings. Test sound description.
Sound description, let's go into here. I'm going to hit enter.
Press enter on a sound to hear it. Target solution.
Target solution.
Target solution. Solid lock tone. Solid within vertical range of target. Within vertical range. Turn signal. Turn signal. Altitude too low or too high. Altitude to stall warning. Stalling. Stall. Enemy has tagged you. Enemy has semi-radar guided missile. Projectile. Active radar guided missile. Enemy has partial or full lock on you.
So you
Enemy
need
has
headphones
partial
for
or
that.
player cancelled lock. Player can't. Fuel warning. Rogue warning. Rogue warning. Target solution.
I don't know what a rogue warning is yet.
Main menu. Exit. Start a new game.
I don't know how to save the game yet.
Racing mode. Deathmatch mode. Training mode. Mission mode. Autoplay mode. Training mode.
So let's do training mode because I don't know what I'm doing.
Welcome, cadet, to
A1.
your 3D Velocity training. I'm assuming you're a fresh pilot, so we're going to start you out from the beginning. Now then, first things first. Remember that you can do everything we talk about using either your keyboard or your joystick. Since you don't have a joystick plugged in, I'll guide you using the keyboard. We'll go over maneuvering motions like throttling, banking, rolling, and doing a split S.
Popping
I
keys.
do, however, advise you to get yourself a joystick. It'll give you an advantage over your good-for-nothing foes when you fight them online, and will also make your life a hell of a lot easier when you do the story mode. When you first start a session, you'll be slowly crawling down the runway. If you want to gain more speed, hold down the throttle up button, which is the up arrow by default. Now, we gotta talk about your actual speed. All your throttle does is supply more fuel to your engine. That's why when you throttle up, you hear your engine increase power. It'll take time for your aircraft to gain speed, though, so don't depend on the pitch of your engine to gauge how fast you're going. We'll practice this once we're in the air. If you open your throttle to full forward, your afterburners automatically come on. They increase the forward motion of your aircraft and allow you to go a lot faster than Mach 1. What I want you to do now is throttle up until you hear those afterburners come on. Remember, throttle up to full forward.
Alright, let's do it.
Now back off the throttle a bit. Tap down arrow once. So the up arrow is the throttle up button, and the down arrow is the throttle down button. Okay, your afterburners are off. You want to be careful how long you remain on afterburners, because they'll eat up your fuel like a wolf eating sheep. One more thing before we get flying. Every pilot needs to have access to their instrument panel, and you've got the HUD mode for you to do this. HUD stands for Heads Up Display. To access it, press Tab on your keyboard. You'll hear Status. Once you're in HUD mode, let's find out what your speed is. To do this, press S. Try it now. Remember, HUD mode by pressing Tab, then S for speed.
Status. Airspeed 173.8 knots. Engine speed 22,300 RPM.
You want to be around 170 knots before launching. Typically, if you throttle up to midway, you'll be at a good launching speed. Your speedometer gave you engine speed and airspeed. Engine speed is how fast your engine is spinning. This goes up as you throttle up. Your airspeed is the actual speed your aircraft is going in a horizontal direction. You've also got vertical thrust, but for now it's 0 feet a minute because we're not going up yet. Right. Now we got to get you in the air. Start by throttling up. Once your throttle is midway, wait for your aircraft to accelerate. Remember, you're looking for a speed around 170 knots. Then tap the page down key. Once you're in the air, press home to level your aircraft.
Okay.
Airspeed 173.8.
Do you really want to quit the game? No.
6
Nice
feet.
job, cadet. Now press home.
Leveling.
The first thing you want to do is gain some speed to get a better current under your wings. Wait for the aircraft to stop accelerating. You've now gained some good speed. You can check your speed by going into HUD mode, Tab, and pressing S.
Status. Airspeed 244.2 knots. Engine speed 20,800 RPM.
Since you're below 10,000 feet, the low altitude alarm will sound during an actual flight. Also, if you're above 50,000 feet, which we call the dead air zone, the alarm will sound again. Okay, obviously the next step is to get above 10,000 feet. You can't fire missiles below 10,000 feet, and it's also not good to fly so low. Since you're above 1,000 feet, you can bring in your landing gear. You can't do this until you climbed above 1,000 feet in case you messed something up and gotta land real quick. Press the landing gear button, G by default, to retract your gear. You're still fairly low to the ground, and you can climb higher by pressing page down. Page down changes your angle of attack. In TDV, your angle of attack is directly related to how steeply you climb. If you hold it down instead of just tapping it, your angle of attack will continually increase. Be careful you don't change your angle of attack too much. If you do, you'll start to hear the stall warning alarm. If you don't do anything to correct the potential stall, you'll drop, and you'll hear the stall alarm. You can still pull out of the stall by correcting your angle of attack. I'm going to turn on your alarms now before we continue. Alright, now pitch upwards. Tap page down 5 or 6 times to get a decent upward pitch. You can always go into HUD mode and press N to get your angle of attack. I recommend an angle of 30 degrees. This will keep you well below the critical angle. The critical angle is the angle of attack which will make you stall no matter what your speed is. Don't worry though, you'll get the stall warning before you start falling, so you'll have time to recover.
2,078 feet. S90.
Now, level your aircraft by pressing home.
10,937 feet.
Leveling.
You heard me mention the hard deck. In TDV, we consider the hard deck to be below 10,000 feet. The hard deck is imposed to make sure that there's no fighting at a dangerously low altitude. For example, you can't fire any of your weapons while below the hard deck. We also recommend you stay above the hard deck at all times in case you stall or spin. You'll have a better chance of recovery if your altitude's high enough. Next, I want you to hold down the down arrow until you hear the engine stop decreasing in pitch.
Okay.
Whoa, what happened? We're still flying. Don't worry, you're not crazy. Remember how I said your speed isn't directly related to your throttle? Here's a good example. Here, your throttle's closed, but your aircraft is still slowing down. So, remember, your engine can shut off, but you can still fly for a while. Okay, let's throttle up again. Put your throttle all the way up until the afterburners kick in. We'll wait for your aircraft to accelerate.
Let's do that.
Sector A2.
Customize.
Now, check your speed. Go into HUD mode and press S. Make a note of the airspeed value you're given. This is your maximum airspeed. It'll vary based on your altitude. For example, you won't be able to go this fast when you're really low to the ground.
Status. Airspeed 1,303.5 knots. Engine speed 40,000
Oh,
RPM.
Press the throttle down button to back off the throttle so you don't waste fuel. Good job so far, Cadet. You're doing fine. Next, I want to show you how to do things like turn your bird around. If you go into HUD mode and press C, you'll hear your course. The course is the degree mark you're facing. Right now, you're facing course 0, which means you're headed due north. If you were facing 90, you'd be heading due east. 180 is due south, and 270 is due west. First, what I want you to do is hold down the right arrow for 10 seconds or so.
10, 20, 30.
You heard some numbers, right? These numbers are the new degrees your aircraft is facing. Since you're turning to the right, and you were facing 0 degrees, they're going in order from 1, 2, 3, etc. Had you turned left instead, you would have heard 359, 358, 357, etc. Make a note of how much time it takes your aircraft to turn. The turn rate you're experiencing is the slowest turn rate because all you're doing is applying rudder. If you were to turn all the way around and then back to 0 degrees, it'd take you a total of 2 minutes to complete one full turn. The way I see it, that's really slow. Next, we'll talk about turning faster. One way to turn faster is to bank your aircraft. To bank, hold down the left shift and either the right or left arrow. Now, bank right to 30 degrees. You can check your bank angle by going into HUD mode and pressing B, as in Bravo.
30. Status 15. 30. Sector A3.
That's incorrect, Cadet. Remember, go into HUD mode and press E as in Echo. Great. Now go into HUD mode and press E as in Echo.
Status 0 degrees per second.
E will give you your aircraft's turn rate. That's how many degrees you can turn in 1 second. Okay, now press left control to apply the speed brake. The lower speed decreases your turn radius, which increases your turn rate.
What?
Now go into HUD mode and press E again.
Status 8 degrees per second.
Notice how your turn rate went up? As your aircraft accelerates and recovers from its loss of speed, you'll see your turn rate start to drop. You can level your craft now. Press home to do so. This is the default level button. Take a moment to notice what your aircraft is doing when you hit the brake. It's accelerating. Why is that? Because the brake doesn't screw around with your throttle. So, as soon as you let go of the brake, you'll start accelerating again. Cool, huh? Next, we're going to take a look at the barrel roll. This maneuver lets you turn more sharply. The idea here is to pitch up and then bank. If you do this, it'll literally make your aircraft fall through a turn. You use gravity to your advantage like this, and it'll turn you a hell of a lot quicker than if you just use your rudder. I want you to do a right barrel roll. Press left alt and right arrow. This is the default right barrel roll command.
17,189 feet.
Orion, we're too loose!
40.
Good job. Come out of the barrel roll once you're done having fun and we'll go on. While you were in the barrel roll, you heard your course change very fast. Also, your altitude went up and down. Now this is important, so pay attention. The barrel roll isn't a level maneuver. This means that if you do a barrel roll, you're not going to be at the same altitude you were at when you started the maneuver. So I don't recommend starting a roll too close to the ground, or somebody's going to bust your butt for wasting taxpayer dollars. Got it? There's one more maneuver you got to know about called split S. Here's a math question for you, kid. If it takes 2 minutes to complete a full circular turn, how long does it take to turn halfway so you're flying in the opposite direction?
1 minute.
That's right, 1 minute. You can turn around faster than this by doing the split S. It involves 2 things. First, you gotta roll your aircraft sideways and flip it over. Then you gotta loop it so when you come back up, you're pointed in the opposite direction. For this one, since you're using a keyboard, you've got it easy. Just press the split S command. That's left alt down arrow by default.
Inverted 50. Upright.
Great job. Now, check your heading. Go into HUD mode and press C for course. Notice that you're facing in the opposite direction. The split S lets you quickly engage an enemy who's tailing you, so I suspect you'll be using that one a lot. Make sure you know how to do it properly.
Status 224.
Next, I want to talk about combat. Switch among your available weapons by using the numbers row. When you press the fire button, the active weapon will fire. Press spacebar to fire your active weapon. Alright, now we got a simulated bogey coming at you. If you want the radar to let you know where it is, you gotta lock onto it first. Press L to lock onto an object. When you press the lock button, you'll be given a menu of objects that can be tracked. Selecting an object starts tracking it. Anytime after that, you can go into HUD mode and press T to find out where the object is. Press L and press Enter on Fighter 1.
Fighter 1, 11 o'clock.
Excellent. Next, we want to match his altitude. You can do this manually, but there's a command that'll instruct the autopilot to align your aircraft with the target's altitude. Press E. Now, wait for your aircraft to reach their altitude.
Feet.
The reason we do this is so that you can hear them. Also, you have to be pretty near them vertically for some weapons to hit successfully, like your guns, because these are not smart projectiles.
50,398 feet.
Missiles online. LTSs charged. Missiles online. Guns active. Missiles online. Cruise missiles good to go.
23,250
online.
feet.
We're all set. That beep you're hearing is the target solution. You only get that if you're tracking an object. In this case, it's off to your right. Start turning to the right. That sound is the solid lock tone. For dumb projectiles like your guns and missiles, it means your nose is aligned with the target and you can fire. Let them have it.
230.
Fox 2. Fox 2.
Nice spot. Nice spot.
Well, look at that. You just had your first kill. Wait, we're not done. I want you to practice targeting a bit more. There's another bogey coming at you. Lock onto him first.
Fighter 2, 11 o'clock. 20. Fighter 2, 11 o'clock. 20.
Okay, did you notice his position? He's at 6 o'clock, so he's behind you. That's why you're not getting a target solution. You need to do a split S. See why they come in handy now? First, get some distance between you guys. I'd say you need to be about 5 miles out. Gain that distance, and then we'll go on.
Level out.
Inverted 20. Upright.
Uh-oh, someone's just locked onto us. Stay alert.
Inverted 20. Upright. Fighter 2, 6 o'clock.
Locked on.
Okay, now do a split S.
Inverted 20. Upright.
Perfect. you're getting to be a damn good pilot. Take him down. You can use whatever weapon you want.
Fox 2 online. Fox 2. Fox 2.
Bogey number 2 has been neutralized. Good job, cadet. One more target. This one's gonna fire back. But don't worry, in this training you're invincible, so you won't die. You have a weapons radar on board, which gives you the location of all the missiles heading toward you in a nice menu. Press R to activate it. Okay, get rid of this bogey and we'll continue.
Fighter 3, 11 o'clock, 6.9 miles closure, tail on.
Locked on!
21,387 feet.
Ryan, dive! Heads up, there's a missile coming for us.
LTS
Heads up,
Cruise
there's a
missile,
missile
10
coming for us.
o'clock, 2.2 miles closure, nose on. Missile, 10, cruise missile, 10, missile, 10 o'clock, 1.7.
Ryan, bullets headed our way to a barrel roll.
Inverted, 20, upright,
Oh yeah.
232.
Ryan, bullets headed our way to a barrel roll.
242,
Heads up, there's a missile coming for us.
244,
Heads up, there's a missile coming for us.
237,
Heads up, there's a missile coming for us.
230,
Heads up, there's a
Sector
missile
A2.
coming for us. Heads up, there's a missile coming for us.
234,
Heads up, there's a missile coming for us.
242. Fighter 3, 7,
Locked on!
247,
Ryan, bullets headed our way to a barrel roll.
250. Fighter 3, 7 o'clock, 2.4 miles closure.
Locked on! Ryan, bullets headed our way to a barrel roll.
Fighter 3,
Locked on!
sector. Missile, 11 o'clock, 5 miles closure.
Missiles online.
Ryan, bullets headed our way to a barrel roll.
259. Fighter 3, 7 o'clock, 2.6 miles closure. Wing on. Fighter 3, Fighter 3.
Locked on! Ryan, bullets headed our way to a barrel roll.
262.
Fox 2. LTSs.
Ryan,
LTSs charged.
257.
LTSs charged. Cruise missiles are good to go.
Interceptors ready.
343,345.
Interceptors ready.
Cruise missiles are good to go.
4,
LTSs charged.
3,
Missiles online.
Fighter 3, 6 o'clock, 3 point.
Locked on!
Inverted, 20. Upright.
Ryan, bullets headed our way to a barrel roll. Ryan, bullets headed our way to a barrel roll.
79. Fighter 3, 6 o'clock.
Locked on!
Sector A2. Inverted. 19. Upright. Fighter 3. 12 o'clock. 7 miles closure. Nose on.
Locked on.
Missiles online.
Shit, Orion, back
Sector.
away.
LTSs charged. Missiles online.
2. OBS 3D velocity.
Shit, Orion, back away.
263.
Come on. Jeez.
L.
Guns active.
Fighter 3. 6 o'clock.
Locked on.
Inverted.
Orion,
7.
back
Upright.
away.
You're just about ready to be a serious pilot. Finally, let's talk about landing. The radar will lock onto the landing beacon for you. You're locked onto it now. First, descend to about 5,000 feet. Notice how you're about 6 miles away from the beacon. You want to give yourself enough room so you don't end up doing a split S in case you pass the runway and have to turn around.
Sector A1. 17,329 feet. Status negative 46.
Do you really want to quit the game? No.
13,000. Stat negative 30. Eight 8,974 feet.
S.
0.
S.
Negative 24. 6,838 feet.
Great. Now, level out and just head straight.
Leveling. Level
You're
out.
about 3 miles away from the beacon. This is where you should start slowing down. You want to slow down enough so the stall warning comes on.
Orion, we're too loose.
Now, start gently descending. Once you get below 1,000 feet, take out your landing gear. I recommend an angle of attack of about negative 10 degrees. Negative means you're pitched downward.
4,003. Negative 14. Enter
Left.
sector.
3D velocity.
Status negative 6. 4,050 feet.
Orion, get
Status
control.
negative
Get
10.
Orion, get control. Get
2,731 feet.
Okay, press the landing gear button to take out your gear. Take a moment to note how far you are from the beacon. As long as you're within 5 miles of it, you'll be above the runway. If you happen to get too much distance, you'll have to climb and do a split S to try a second approach.
842
Now, just keep
feet.
descending.
Uh-oh.
Main menu.
Well,
Use your arrow keys to navigate the options.
8:48 p.m.
Start a new game. Start a new game.
I don't know how to load a save game, so...
Welcome, cadets.
A1.
If you want to... Yeah, tap down. Okay, your afterburners are off. You want to be careful how long you remain on F. One.
Status airspeed 173.
You want to be around 170 knots before your speedometer gave you engine speed and... Right. Now, we got to get you in the air. Stop. Once your throttle is midway, wait for your air...
6
Nice
feet.
job, cadet. Now, press...
Leveling. Level
The
out.
first thing you want to do is gain some speed to get a better current.
Level out.
Since you're below 10,000 feet, the low altitude alarm will sound during an actual Okay, obviously the next step is to get above 10,000 feet. Since you're above 1,000 feet, you can bring in your landing. Press the landing gear button, G by default, to retract your gear. You're still fairly low to the ground, and you can climb higher by pressing page down. Page down changes your angle of attack. In TDV, your angle of attack is directly related to how steep. Be careful you don't change your... Alright, now pitch upwards. Tap page down. You can always go into HUD.
2,016 feet. Step 32. $6,359 feet.
Now, level your aircraft by pressing
11,127 feet.
You heard me mention the hard... Next!
Status airspeed 993.9 knots. Engine speed 30,000. Sector A2. Sector A3.
Whoa, what happened? We're still flying! Don't worry, you're not crazy. Remember how I said your speed isn't directly... Okay, let's throttle up again. Put your throttle all the way...
Oh, yeah.
Press the throttle down button to back. Good job so far, Cadet. You're doing fine. Next, I want to show you how to do things like turn your bird around. If you go into HUD mode and press C, you'll hear your course. The course is the... First, what I want you to do is hold down...
Sector A4. 10. 20. 30.
You heard some numbers, right? Make a note of how much time it takes. One way to turn faster is to bank your aircraft. To bank, hold down the left shift and either the right or left arrow. Now, bank right. That's incorrect, Cadet. Remember, to bank, hold...
$40.
Great. Now go into HUD mode and press E as in Echo.
Status 0 degrees per second.
E will give you your aircraft's turn rate. That's how many degrees you can turn in 1 second. Okay, now press left control to apply the speed brake. The lower speed decreases your turn radius, which increases your turn rate. Now go into HUD mode and press E again.
Step 2 degrees per second.
Notice how your turn rate went up? As your aircraft accelerates and recovers from its loss of speed, you'll see your turn rate start to drop. You can level your craft now. Press home to do so. This is the default level button. Take a moment to notice what your aircraft is doing when you hit the brake. It's accelerating. Why is that? Because the brake doesn't screw around with your throttle. So, as soon as you let go of the brake, you'll start accelerating again. Cool, huh? Next, we're going to take a look at the barrel roll. This maneuver lets you turn more. The idea here is to pitch up and then bank. If you do this, it'll literally make your aircraft fall through a turn. You use gravity to your advantage like this, and it'll turn you a hell of a lot quicker than if you just use your rudder. I want you to do a right barrel roll. Press left Alt and right arrow. This is the default right barrel roll command.
50.
Good job. Come out of the barrel roll once you're done having fun and we'll go on. While you were in the barrel roll, you heard your course change very fast. Also, so I don't recommend starting a roll too close to the ground. There's one more maneuver you gotta know about called split X. It involves, for this one,
Inverted. 11,600.
Great
Upright.
job. Now, check your heading. Go into
Status 233.
Next, I want to talk about combat. Switch among your available When you press the fire button, the active weapon will fire. Press spacebar to fire your active weapon. Alright, now we got a simulated bogey. Press L to lock onto an object. When you press the lock button, you'll be given a menu of objects that can be tracked. Selecting an object starts. Press L and press Enter on Fighter 1.
Uh-oh, someone's just locked onto us. Stay alert.
Fighter 1.
Excellent.
Locked on.
Next, we want to match his altitude. Press E. Now, we wait for your aircraft to reach their
10,373
altitude.
feet.
The reason we do this is so that you can hear them. Also, you have to be pretty near them vertically for some weapons to hit successfully, like your guns, because these are not smart projectiles.
10,513 feet. $18,277
Okay, we're all set. That beep you're hearing is the target solution. You only get that if you're tracking an object. In this case, it's off to your right. Start turning to the right. That sound is the solid lock tone. For dumb projectiles like your guns and missiles, it means your nose is aligned with the target and you can fire. Let them have it.
Nice shot. Nice one. Good job.
Well, look at that. You just had your first kill. Wait, we're not done. I want you to...
Fighter 2.
Okay, did you notice his position? He's at 6 o'clock, so he's behind you. That's why you're not getting a target solution. You need to do a split S. See why they come in handy now? First, get some distance between you guys. I'd say you need to be about 5 miles.
20,193 feet.
Stay alert. Level out.
I don't like the afterburner sounds. I just don't.
Airspeed 900. Airspeed 400.
Orion, we're too loose.
Sector A3. Status airspeed 1000. Sector. Fighter 2, 6 o'clock.
Okay, now do a split S.
Inverted 11 upright.
Perfect. You're getting to be a damn good pilot. Take him down. You can use whatever weapon you want.
Guns active.
Nice shot. Nice.
Bogey number 2 has been neutralized. Good job, cadet. One more target. You have a weapons radar on board, which gives you the location of all the missiles heading toward you in a nice menu. Press R to activate it. Okay, get...
Fighter 3, 11.
Locked on. Heads up, there's a missile coming for us.
Missile 11 o'clock. Sector
up, there's a missile coming for
A3,
us.
60, 62.
Missile
Heads up, there's a
online.
missile coming for
four.
us. Heads up, there's a
60.
missile coming for us.
60. 64.
Heads up, there's a missile coming for us.
70.
Heads up, there's a missile coming for us.
76. 80.
Heads up, there's a missile coming for us.
86.
Shit, Orion, bang the way.
90.
Heads up, there's a missile coming for us.
Missile 6 o'clock. 3.7. Fighter 3, 6 o'clock.
Locked on.
Inverted 11 upright.
Fox 2. Fox 2.
Heads up, there's a missile coming for us. Nice shot. Heads up, there's a missile coming for us.
275.
Orion, bullets headed our way to a barrel.
280.
Guns active.
Fighter 3, 7 o'clock. 0.9 miles closure. Nose.
Locked on! Shit, Orion, back away!
290. 300. 310. 320. 330. 340. Sector. Fighter 3, 7 o'clock. 1.6 miles.
Locked on! Shit, Orion, back
10
away!
upright.
Ryan, you dumbass, pull up. Nosedivers do not have promising futures.
Stat 20. 11,000.
Do you really want to quit the game? No.
Leveling.
Sector A4.
Level out. Shit, Orion, back away!
173. Fighter 3, 6 o'clock. 2 point.
Locked on! Shit, Orion, back away!
170. Sector A3. 160. Fighter 3, 7 o'clock. 150.
Shit, Orion, back away!
140. Status 13,200.
That was with A, so altitude is A.
Fighter 3, 7 o'clock. 1 point. 135.
Orion, bullets headed our way. Do a barrel roll.
140. Sector A2.
Where are ya?
Fighter 3, 6 o'clock. 1.7 miles closure. Nose on.
Locked on!
Inverted 12
Orion,
upright.
bullets headed our way. Do a barrel roll.
You're just about ready to be a serious pilot. Finally, let's talk about landing. The radar will lock onto the landing beacon for you. You're locked onto it now. First, descend to about 5,000 feet. Notice how you're about 6 miles away from the beacon.
Sector A1. Step 12,211.0. 12,200. Step negative 12. Negative 24. 9,478 feet.
Great. Now, level out and just head straight.
4,878 feet.
Level out.
You're about 3 miles away from the beacon. This is where you should start slowing down.
Status. Airspeed 491 knots. Engine speed 10.
Orion, we're too low!
Now, start gently descending. Once you get below 1,000 feet,
Stat 0. 4,042 feet. Stat airspeed 200.
Orion, get control! Get control!
Stat airspeed 178.5 knots. Engine speed 3,700. Stat airspeed 113.
Orion, get control! Get control!
3,100. Stat airspeed 219.1 knots. Engine speed Status airspeed 209.1 knots and 2,997 feet. Airspeed 97. 1,690 feet. Status airspeed 260. 1,429 feet.
Now, just keep descending.
976 feet. $225 feet.
Oh, did I miss it?
905.
Well, that didn't go too well, did it? You'll have to practice more with landing. Remember, you can always come back here to retake the training course. There are times when you will have to land and can't afford to screw up, so I do recommend that you get back here as soon as you can. Dismissed!
Main menu.
Yeah, I didn't
Use
do
your
too
arrow
well.
keys to now exit.
Let's just,
OBS 64C.
let's just not.
Stop record.
Alright, you guys. Take care.